Mozart, 200, 300 years ago, Mozart was the biggest traveler there was, because he would travel for concerts, and he would travel more miles. He'd probably be in like the 98th percentile. Today, Mozart wouldn't even be like the 30th percentile, because everyone just uses the fossil fuels and goes everywhere. And that's not sustainable necessarily. The world has trends, population is going like this, energy usage is going like this. At some point, right, you can't have that exponent happen forever. So population growth is going to go down. And then you're going to have robots or automation pick up the slack, maybe. Because let's say there's this number of people and they're getting older. So then the next generation eventually will be smaller. So countries realize they want social security, they want kids to help, help to pay for their parents, Medicare. How are you going to do that if there's less kids? There's one way: more automation and more, automation and productivity, right? So if everyone's more productive, you can fix that. However, it could happen, right, that automation becomes so good and things are so productive that you don't need many people to work at all. So you're going to get what some people talk about, technological unemployment. And we have Andrew Yang, actually in New York. He's going to be running for president 2020. Look him up. He is, always talking about technological unemployment and how we're going to have to deal with this eventually. There's no economic law that says there's always going to be demand for human labor. And I feel that both capitalism and socialism are actually a bit outdated in some of their assumptions. Capitalism and socialism, they both make this assumption that human labor is always going to be in demand, and it's always going to be high in demand, right? The capitalist says, look, your employer will value you. You'll find an employer that really values your skills and pay you a lot of money, and you're going to be able to support yourself and have a nice house, whatever. The socialist says, your labor is so valuable that if you collectively bargain, the employer is just going to do whatever you want and give you higher wages because they can't live without you. Well, the truth is that, as we've seen over the last 20 years, the truth is changing. Amazon has Kiva robots, right, that are able to do the work or let fewer people do the work of many people. We have airports have kiosks, banks have kiosks, ATMs. McDonald's experimenting with just ordering like this, right, instead of a cashier. Truck driving is going to be automated. Maybe all driving is going to be automated. So at some point, the demand for human labor might go down. And that means the wages are going to go down, the average wage. But human needs are still going to be the same, right? So unless the price of food drops also, the price of rent, which is unlikely, drops also, you're going to see the same trends that you see, which is that today it's harder to support your family and pay rent. So like in the 40s and 50s, it was true. Your grandfather was a company man. He had a pension. He could support the whole family on one income. They had a car, maybe two cars. They had a house. They took vacations. Today, both parents work. The works is not decades. It's like 2 years is like a lot. And then there's these part-time stints. They move in with their family because they can't find work. This is a trend that's showing you that no one's valuing their employees like they used to value. So if that's the case, we extrapolate and we see where is this going. So we need things like basic income. Possibly, at least we need the mechanism for it. What's the level of basic income is up for grabs. Now, Andrew Yang thinks it's $12,000 a year. Many people say 12x is $1,000 a month. And maybe we could support that. But also, different places have different cost of living. So somewhere in Beverly Hills is a lot more expensive than somewhere in, let's say, Topeka or Wichita, Kansas, right? So it would be nice if that was done on a local level. And then you could actually calculate how much it costs to buy food. Not the average, maybe, because there's always going to be this guy that buys a huge amount of food for their whole, for a huge party, but is the median amount. So this person who goes and says, hey, I'd like to buy food. You get the median price of food, and then you ask the people, would you like to subsidize that amount of food for everybody the median price, airdrop money to everybody every day, meaning the previous day you see what the median price was, then you airdrop that the next day. Now, the community might vote to subsidize 100% of food and end food insecurity. No one begging for food, because if they beg for food, you say, don't you have a phone? Didn't you get your food money today? Go and buy your food. You don't need me. You automate this charity, right? And so, but also charity becomes a function of the actual people in the community. It becomes a function of people deciding collectively, okay, we're a pretty liberal bunch, or I don't like to use the word liberal for redistribution because that's actually a misnomer. Liberal is about rights. It's about human rights. You should say people are very more socialist, okay? They want to subsidize, have a safety net. So some communities might subsidize 100% of the food, some might subsidize 20% and say work for the other 80, But at least there will be that mechanism. Today we don't have a mechanism to do basic income. Today we don't have a mechanism to represent currencies as stable coins and peg them in crypto. We have some mechanisms, but they're not perfect.